Continuing our Vikings coverage at the 2025 NFL Combine, I am now joined by Demitrius Washington, our VP of Football Operations. You've been a busy man this morning, making your media rounds.
Yeah, for the most part.
How do you like those?
Actually, I enjoy them.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's very nice people. Being able to just talk through what the organization's doing and stuff like that, it's always interesting and fun.
Yeah, this is your fourth year now with the Vikings, right? Fourth Combine?
Yes.
So going into this, how has your role changed over the last few years?
I would say it's more growth, more getting used to the new role. My previous role wasn't as encompassing as this current role, so getting more used to that. Just growth in terms of just career growth. So,
what's an example of something that you have learned and when you walked in you didn't know yet?
I would say more. It's more about just actually doing more traditional evaluations, and doing a lot more stuff at the combine than just the data stuff that I used to do in my previous role.
I'm
so
glad
it's just
you brought
more
that
encompassing.
up.
Yeah.
I'm really because we got to brag on Demitrius for a hot second. The Athletic named you one of the 50 under 40 in the NFL to watch, to look out for, and really acknowledging your ability to marry technology with football, like the traditional style of football. For those of us who may not, know all the ins and outs of that, can you shine more light on what that means?
I'll say from the beginning, when I first got into the league, my job or my goal was to try to find what blind spots we can help cover or help assist with from a coaching or scouting perspective. And I think from that starting point, we just started developing different models that would help the coaches, help the scouts, help evaluators, help decision makers ultimately. And I would say is blending it for now is like in its essence, in its truest form. Analytics, regressions, algorithm is about whittling down a lot of information into just the most significant or pertinent pieces of information and just trying to make that transferable across different aspects of the organization in order to improve or increase the efficiency of decision making.
Yeah, it's funny because Quasey was talking about the look of the draft and the free agency and how you guys compile that information as a portfolio, which kind of goes back to that Wall Street background that he has. When you look at the Vikings portfolio right now, where do you see them heading in this offseason?
Yeah, I would say just in terms of the portfolio, I'm glad you brought up Wall Street.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because it's Quasey's superpower. He has quite a few, but one of them is risk management, risk assessment. And when you look at the portfolio, when it comes to player acquisitions, roster construction, a lot of it is about risk management and risk assessment. We did a great job of that last season. We had a very difficult offseason in some sense, but it was a lot of moving parts, a lot of changes, and that's kind of how we made it through to the other side.
Yeah, you mentioned the offseason last year where there were a lot of free agent acquisitions, and it was a very successful free agency. What would you attribute that to?
Collaboration.
Yeah.
Collaboration, whether it's, we talked about analytics before, but personnel, coaching, just a lot of collaboration, a lot of buy-in in the full process of it. And it was a lot of long days, a lot of discussion, a lot of what I would say if statements, but there's a lot of moving parts throughout that process, and it took collaboration in order for that process to be somewhat successful.
Right. Part of that process obviously is here at the Scouting Combine. You're going to go through several interviews with draft prospects over the next few days. And we've talked about this before, you told me in the interviews you really are looking for someone who's a good coaching fit. How would you describe a good coaching fit for this Viking staff?
I'll say at this point we're looking for instinctive players. We're looking for tough, physical, fast players, and it's kind of cliche to that extent. But I'll say with our coaching staff has shown high levels of flexibility, high levels of being able to make pieces work within schemes, mirroring the schemes together. So I think at this point it's just like what does that player look like for us? And there's different types of players that we could take, but I would say instincts, physicality, toughness, yeah.
I also think another strength of your front office staff is the ability to find value in the undrafted free agent. What's the secret behind being able to target someone who was not drafted but then is successful in the league?
Again, it's a lot of collaboration. From just, again, starting with personnel, coaching, analytics, performance staff. There's so much collaboration that goes on in the building when we get all these inputs in for the decision makers to ultimately make the decision. But buy-in and collaboration and being able to just come to a not even a consensus, but having some sort of common knowledge or common understanding, common language to use across, and just being open-minded.
Yeah, it might be something that comes into play this year. There is a limited draft capital currently that we have, hopefully getting that 4th compensatory pick, but right now 3 picks. How does your draft strategy change when you have a limited number of draft capital?
Being intentional. Being intentional with the process, with the vision that we have for each one of these, and that kind of goes into the undrafted aspect as well. It's like, as long as you're intentional with the vision, and what you see this player's trajectory being, and being honest about it, I think that's where we have the most success of hitting on some of those players.
Yeah, well, you guys are doing a great job of it. Thank you so much for your time. I know you have a very busy week of usually asking the questions and not having to answer them.
Somewhat.
And congratulations on 50 under 40.
Thank you.